There are only 3 things you need to know about this build. This is how fast it can kill. This is how fast it can heal. And this is how much resistance it has. This is a tank with amazing DPS and recovery. And there's no build out there that can do all 3 of these things as well as this one does. Hit like if unique and effective builds are for you. And comment, I want it all, down below to support the channel.
Well, you can tell by the way I use my love.
This is the build. It has 270% crit damage, plus damage power equal to having 11 red weapon damage cores and 1,170 RPMs. It's loaded with 1.5 million base armor, with 40% bonus armor. That's 600,000 in blue armor, and it stacks on top of that to be even more. It has 39% protection from elites, and the kicker, this setup heals armor at 194,000 per second. That's equivalent to 13% armor regen. Nothing else out there does that. I'm gonna break down the details for you in just a moment. First, check out this short gameplay clip.
With my left, got the world in my right pocket. Smoker, stoker, my right in between, counting my profits. Poker faces, I soak up the taste. This display of women on my sofa, doing the type of things I love so much. But so what? I'm sleazy. It's not easy being Joe Smut. With more bucks than you can count, more than what's in your clutch. I could fund a small war and start a recession. A big dog, a boss hog. What I want is the question. I want it all. I want it all. I need it all right now. I want it all. I gotta get it. I got to get it. Yup. I want it all. I want it all. I need it all right now. I want it all. I want it all and I want it now. You got what I want and I need it right now. Give it to me, baby. I don't care how. I want it all. I want it all. I want it all. I want it all. If I don't get what I want, then I'll take it in blood. A greasy thug whose greed and lust is like cheap drugs that keep me buzzed. The heat and fuzz couldn't touch me. I'm out of reach because I'm eating lunch with a shady bunch about to meet the judge. When people see me, they point and whisper, he's corrupt, he couldn't care less. He's fearless, he'll give the reaper hugs. And as a kid, he never took crap from no one. Mud on his face, such a disgrace, cussing at grown-ups. I want it all. I want it all, I need it all right now. I want it all. I gotta get it, I got to get it, yup. I want it all. I want it all, I need it all right now. I want it all. I want it all and I want it now. Don't you know who I am? I'm a big boss with big balls.
Gonna do kick some heat right here, boys. Do not lose your shield. You'll regret that. There's a heavy gunner in the back.
I can buy your life, whatever it costs. Name your price, give me what I need, then get lost. I can buy the blue from the sky. I'm a rich hog, give me it now. I'm not the guy you wanna piss off. By any means, I get what I want and I want it all.
All right, let me break down this build for you. So I'm running the Chameleon for all the cool things that it does, but mostly I'm playing real close and personal. And the Chameleon is an assault rifle, but it really acts like an SMG, and that's why I've chosen it. And so it's giving us a crit chance mod here, stability, accuracy, and plus 20 rounds. But it's got health damage as you would expect on an assault rifle, but it's also got 9.5% crit chance. And so really with the mod and that attribute, it really brings a lot of crit chance to the table, which most assault rifles don't do for you. And then it has adaptive instincts, which is giving us another 20% crit chance, plus 50% crit damage and 90% weapon damage, not to mention the reload speed when you get that as well. So a very powerful weapon at close range and great for tank DPS builds, by the way. As an alternate weapon, if you decide you don't want to run the Chameleon, I tried many others like the FAMAS and the Sitar, and they were all right, but the Dark Winter was the next closest thing to give me the same power that the Chameleon had. And so I really enjoyed the Dark Winter. So if you don't want to run the Chameleon, I suggest trying the Dark Winter, which gives you Perfect Killer, which is another 59% 50% crit hit damage for 10 seconds, and pretty easy to maintain with this setup. All right, so this is built on the Umbra Initiative gear set, which is relatively new. This is the latest gear set that they've given us. And so it's really cool gear set, actually. I really like it. And it is actually my favorite gear set for heroic content. That's right. Even more than Striker, even more than Heartbreaker, I like this gear set. And that's because it does something that none of those builds can even get close to. And we'll jump into that in a second. So this is giving us 15% crit chance, very helpful. And then 30% reload speed, also helpful, especially for fast or high RPM weapons. That really helps with your DPS. So it has a talent called From the Shadows into the Light. And there's a lot of verbiage here, so I'm really not gonna read through all that. So I'm just gonna kind of break it down for you. Basically, when you're in cover, you build offensive stacks. And those offensive stacks are crit damage and RPMs. So at the base of this talent, you're getting 50% crit damage and 15% RPM boost to your weapon. So that's great. When you're out of cover, you're gonna build 0.8% armor regen, which is equivalent to 40% of your armor back. And so that's how you get your stacks. But when you're in cover is how you get your armor regen. So that's why it's From the Shadows into the Light. So it's basically in cover, out of cover, in cover, out of cover. And so you only need to be in cover for 5 seconds to get your stacks. And you only need to be out of cover for 5 seconds to get your defensive stacks. So really easy. It's a very natural way to play. When this gear set first came out, I was kind of worried. I was like, oh, that sounds really tedious and annoying, but it's actually very natural to play that way. And so when you run the chest piece, you get From the Shadows the talent, and that's going to boost everything that you get on the offensive side. So we're going from 50% crit damage to now 100% crit damage, and from 15% RPM boost to now 30% RPM boost. The chest piece is the way to go with this gear set. And as you can see, I've loaded up with armor, I have crit damage, and a protection from elites mod. We'll go into the mods in a moment, but let's just take a quick look at all the Umbra pieces. So as you can see, the holster is basically the same, armor and crit damage. And then the knees, I got a red core here with crit damage. And then the gloves are more red with crit damage. And so really I'm balancing the build out. And so we ended up with 1.5 million armor, as you can see. Now the mask, I decided to go with Grupo. It's got crit chance, crit damage, protection from elites, and I loaded armor here. You can also do Fenris here. It's probably the other one. And if you wanted to go even tankier or even more recovery, consider Bellstone for another 1% armor regen. That would be a great addition to the power of heals on this build, and that's what really sets this one apart from any other gear set out there. The only thing that comes remotely close to this is Foundry, and not even Foundry is this good, because it works differently and it doesn't give you any damage bonuses. So it's really, you'd be underpowered. For a tank DPS, this is the way to go. I really enjoy it. Okay, for the backpack, of course it's the Memento. Of course it is. Now it's giving us 3 cores. We got the weapon damage and armor, and then of course the skill tier. So that's really helping our skills. We're going to get into that as well. And then I have a protection from elites mod. And so this is really good for out of cover, especially for open world content where you're just moving around a lot, killing and moving. So the Memento is just sort of a no-brainer for this. I really suggest it because of the bonus armor perk. Okay, so we're going to get 5% weapon damage for every red core, 10% bonus armor per blue core. So we have 4 blue cores. So that means a single trophy, just one trophy, is 40% bonus armor. That's 600,000 in armor. That pushes the build over 2.1 million in armor. And that's just one trophy. And that trophy will last for 10 seconds. It's amazing. As you can see from the gameplay, we're stacking those trophies. So we go from 2.1 to 2.7 and so on and so forth. Mega armor. And so what's important about the bonus armor is that it's protecting your backside. And that's what allows me to jump in the middle of a mob of enemies and just start picking them off one by one, even though I'm taking damage in the back. My time to kill is so fast, so although I'm losing some bonus armor, I'm getting new bonus armor as soon as I get that kill. Then I focus on the next enemy. I'm losing bonus armor because somebody's shooting me in the back, and I get the next kill and stack more bonus armor. And so the bonus armor is absolutely amazing. So there's that, protect your backside, but also it allows you to move and play faster, okay? Because you can play this without a shield, and I do have gameplay footage of me using this build without a shield. But I figure, like, since we have have so much armor and we have the extra skill tier, we might as well use this shield, you know, because the armor actually loads up the shield's health value, makes it stronger. So we might as well use that. And that's why I'm going with the shield. And we'll talk about the shield a little bit more. But the bonus armor allows you to drop your shield and use your bonus armor, take damage to your bonus armor as you're running to the next engagement. And so it allows you to move faster. The other cool thing is that the weapon damage. So we're gonna get 5% weapon damage per red core, and then we got 3 red cores. So that's 15% weapon damage bonus on kill. That's on top of everything, okay? So you heard me say earlier that this build has an equivalent of 11 red weapon damage cores. And let me break that down, okay? So we have 3, as you can see. The Chameleon gives us 90% weapon damage. That's equal to 6 red cores. So now we're at 9. When you get all your trophies, in other words, that's gonna give you 30% weapon damage. That's equivalent to 2 red cores. Now we're at 11. And when you grab a single trophy, just one after that, the short-term buff is gonna give you 15% weapon damage. That's an equivalent to another one. So now you're at 12. And then every trophy you stack on top of that, you're at 13, 14, 15. You see where it goes? And so very powerful. And that's what allows us to roll with 1.5 million armor and still have such an amazing time to kill. Let's quickly take a look at the crit values here. So we got 55% base crit chance. That's actually pretty high. The Chameleon gives 20% more crit chance, so we're not really using that side of the buff. And then we have 119, let's just round that to 120% crit damage at the base. Okay, the Chameleon is going to give us 50% more crit damage. So that puts us at 170% crit damage. The gear set, Umbra, is going to give us another 100% crit damage. Now we're at 270% crit damage. It feels amazing, especially at 1,170 RPMs. Let's take a look at the skills. So as you can see, I'm running Firewall. One of the reasons I'm running Firewall is because of the shield. And like I said, since we're running so much armor, I decided, yeah, I'm just gonna run the shield. The shield is the way to go because it allows me to get more out of that armor. And so the damage bonus per enemy is what I'm really after here. So that's 12% damage bonus per enemy. And as you can see, we're always taking on more than just one enemy. So that really stacks up nicely. And then I got a tier 5 shield. So the health on this thing is over 4 million. And when the mementos are stacked, that number will go up as well. So very strong shield. It can break, so just keep an eye on it. As for the other skill, I decided to go with the Fixer Drone. So at its base, it's about 25,000 heals per second, and then that goes up as well when we have our memento stacks because there's skill efficiency there. So that gets pushed to about 29 to 30,000 heals per second. So one thing I didn't mention earlier is that the memento also gives us armor regen. So there's 3% armor regen coming from this all the time once you have your 30 stacks, which is pretty easy to get. So 3% armor regen is about 45,000 heals per second. The repair skill drone is giving us 29,000 heals per second. Umbra Initiative is giving us 40% of our armor over 5 seconds. That's equivalent to 8% armor regen per second. That's 120,000 heals per second. So if you add all those things up together, we're at 194,000 heals per second. That's equivalent to 13% armor regen. And that is where this build shines. Fast time to kill, fast times to heal, and we added a ton of resistance. One of the resistance pieces is the protection from elites. As you can see, I have 39% protection from elites. That's 3 protection from elite mods, and that goes a long ways. And that makes our bonus armor last even longer. There's a lot of elites in heroic content, especially in the open world. About half of the control point is all elites. So these mods really do get used. If you don't want them, you can also just go with crit damage. Just front load a little bit more. That's gonna give you another 36% crit damage. That will throw you over 300% total crit hit damage. So, but I like it this way. I feel like my time to kill is exactly where it needs to be. I'm happy with it. I don't need a faster time to kill. So I diverted those slots to more defense. Want to see what this build could do? Check out this unedited gameplay footage.
Follow me.